Welcome, cosmic travelers, to the Quantum Shift, where each week we leave the ordinary behind and step into a world of extraordinary possibilities. Imagine our reality being portaled into the realm of 5D wonderment, magic, and heartfelt living. This isn't just a wild concept. It's our new journey with the Archangels and the world they built for the crystal DNA hue. Joining us on this adventure is our guide, George, who is our personal galactic guide from the 13th dimension. His profound insights never stop challenging and expanding minds. Our perceptions are easing their way into the zero-point timeline of a new quantum reality and newly awakened expressions of wisdom and mastery. Every episode promises to leap into the unknown, sparking vibrant discussions that illuminate our minds and transform our souls. We are putting on the parachute and getting ready to jump into the unknown. Let's pull the ripcord together and leap into a new realm of spiritual awakening. Brace for the stars as the Quantum Shift merges with an in-depth journey with your cosmic navigators. Introducing your host of the Quantum Shift, Dr. Sam Mugzzi and Digital Tom.
Welcome to the Quantum Shift. Thanks for joining us on another Spiritual Lightworker show. This is going to be an amazing show for you guys, so make sure you grab your chips. Look, we ran out of popcorn weeks ago, so we're eating chips. Without further ado, let's bring in Dr. Mugzzi. Mugzzi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I want to caution everybody that the subject that I'm going to be covering today is going to be difficult for a lot of people. I have friends and loved ones that have gone to Bible school. I have people that I know that are involved in churches. They might even have groups. They are participating in the religious community. And the information that has been passed down to us is not accurate.
What is the meaning of this?
Whoa. And there are a lot of people that are going to have a hard time with this, but I would like to request that you take a step back and realize that we've all been lied to, and it's really not a big deal. I know that you're going to have to recreate yourself. You're going to have to recreate your reality and who you associate with, but that's okay. There's saying, Bruce Lee, if you empty your cup, you can now fill it up with the truth, with wisdom, and with what I think is going to be a very magical fairy tale reality. So with that, I want you guys all to just understand I need to get the truth out, and it's going to be coming out more and more. But as we approach this period where Trump is going to step down, I want everybody to comprehend the magnitude of what's been going on and how this goes back millions of years. This is biblical because this is literally a battle between God and Satan. And Satan was his first son who flipped on him, who wanted to have his own power, who basically was a spoiled brat. And God has now told all of the fallen angels, if you don't change, if you don't start helping not only this mission to liberate this planet, that you will become immortal and you will die and you will begin a karmic life within the 3D and have to experience everything that they have. So this is the boomerang. This is where we're headed now. And I just want to explain a little bit that Trump is a character. He's a placeholder in the movie. He actually has two faces. There is the one that faces the public, who does the rallies, who does the TV. That is the, I'm going to say, masses character that everybody is following. But the one that most people are not paying attention to is the one that is operating out of the Cheyenne Mountain, out of Colorado. That is Archangel Uriel. Uriel is in charge of liberating the South, or this portion, America, Mexico, and Canada. This location is actually the power center for Uriel. So he is operating in the back of the persona Trump. I know this is confusing. The other Trump that faces the public. Okay. So when Trump goes to, gosh, I wish I could do Trump public and Trump Uriel. Okay. Trump public will do a rally. And every time he does a rally someplace, there is the second Trump, which is Trump Uriel, that goes in with military forces, and they're doing cleanouts. They're doing arrests. They're doing operatives that they don't want the general population to know about, because they would become cumbersome. They would not understand it yet, and they need to be removed out of the way. So Trump public will pull everybody out into some forum where then the military can go in and do their operations of removal. Every time that Trump does a rally, there's always kids that are being pulled out from underground bases and other creepy things that, to be honest, I don't even want to know about. So just know there are two Trumps that are in operation right now. Tom, do you have anything to add?
I do not at this time. Please continue.
Okay, so the first Trump was Michael Rothschild. And these snakes, lizards, bad deep state dudes, they always have two, three, four personas that they play different hats to be able to trick the population. So all the Rothschilds would, or Rockefellers, or the 13 bloodlines would fake their deaths and then become somebody else. And then they would appear somewhere else in the movie to take on another role. So it just came out that Farrah Fawcett faked her death and then became Diana, the fake Diana that actually was married to Charles. And I don't know how that goes, because I know the real Diana, actually, the Calhouni Diana, married Charles, that got the crown, but then she at some point was pulled out and Farrah Fawcett was put in. I don't have all the details on this. It's something like that, and we'll get more details later. But I just want to have that place card put in front of the population, so that you guys are aware that there's been some tricky things going on. Also, the real Andrew, the real children of Diana were taken out of the movie script, and the Rothschilds had used their bloodline to create their version of Prince Henry and Prince William. So it is said, and I don't know for sure how this goes, but it was the King of Spain that fathered Andrew, and then it was the famous soccer player then that fathered Henry. So we will find out more about this later. Just know that the deep state has been cloning the real authentic people and creating this double then that they can control. And they're either doing it by taking that person over and then having masks, or they're using a vril inside of a clone operating them, or they're just using a hologram. So I'm not too clear on all of their technology yet, but I do know that they have the capacity to represent somebody else. And I believe this was happening with Elvis Presley, with Michael Jackson, with, we know, Adele. It was happening that she had admitted that she sold her soul, which means they killed her and created a clone, which then the reptilian took over. So there's a lot of information coming out about this. So Michael Rockefeller was going to be President Trump and be the Antichrist. A lot of actors that faked their death had been put into other positions, like Miley, where they're now going to flip. And you always can find them because you look for the Jew. You look for the Jew hat, you look for the blue and white flag, you look for the connections to Argentina, and you will see them. So Miley apparently is Robin Williams, who is a Jew who is playing the part um, in Argentina, but he was supposed to flip, but now he's being boomeranged back because the Archangels are taking over. So Uriel is playing the CIC, the commander in chief, behind the persona Trump that's on the stage. Okay. So he's working in the background where he's actually liberating this planet. And then you have Archangel Michael working in Russia. And then the other two are in the other locations, which I'll explain in a minute. So, Commander in Chief, the CIC, is actually Archangel Uriel. And of course, he has no intentions on being the president of the United States. I mean, that's like really below his rank. Instead, what is getting ready to happen is that Trump persona, the actor, is going to be stepping down after either it's Colorado, the Aurora rally, or it's after the Ohio Springfield rally. Both those are going to be operations where they go in to clean up the alien invasion, which I believe is the vampires and the werewolf beings that are black. And I think this is going to loop back to Shem, and I'll explain in a minute. So hold your hat. So when Trump gets ready to step down and that actor is no longer necessary because the planet has been freed, then it has always been told to us through Q that Trump will step down and then he's going to go back to being the King of Kings, which means that he is going to be a protector in the status of an archangel versus playing the role that he's doing currently. Never intended for Uriel to stay in the CIC position, nor are we going to stay in war. So when the military has finished cleaning out all the dumps and taking out all of Satan's seeds, the removal process is over, then the military will stand down and then we will go into an election. That's when we're going to be presented with either a president or King Arthur is JFK reincarnated, that's a Palladian, could step in as a king. I don't know yet the dark judge said it hasn't been decided how they're going to do this last piece, but I do know that Uriel and the Trump character are no longer going to be around. So the Simpsons had it right. It's only a matter of time. Okay. So just know when that character's role is over, then he's going to leave the stage. So in the Bible, there's not a lot of information about the archangels, but there are in previous literature prior to Christ. I'll get into that in a minute. But the archangels, there are 7, and there will be 11 kings, or from the kingdom of the 11th dimension, 711, 7 archangels, 11th dimension. And I believe that there are 11 kings somehow that are going to be associated with this, that are going to be put in as presidents or controllers for the countries that are in alignment with King Arthur and, his 7 knights or his 11 knights, or however this plays out. That piece, I don't know yet. The dark judge didn't know yet. So Uriel is the archangel that is actually responsible for protecting and guarding the tree of life, which is us, which is the seed that came from the archangels. We are part Palladian, part Arcturian, and part archangel. Uriel has the sword that's always depicted as a flaming sword. And he is the one that pushed Adam. This is where people are going to have a hard time. He pushed in the first world. So we're going into the 5th world. In the first world, it was Uriel that pushed Satan out of the garden. So Satan actually had brought his sister Lilith into the garden, which is here. It's the garden of the fairy tale, the heaven on earth. Satan and Lilith came in. So it is Uriel that flushed him out and kicked him out of the Eden here, earth. Okay. He is the guardian of the tree of life, or the Garden of Eden. This is the territory of Uriel. Uriel was the angel that had the Israelites put the blood on their doors during Passover so that they would be protected when the black smoke went in to remove the first sons of the Satan seed, the Egyptians. Uriel is sent by God to warn Noah in Enoch 10, chapters 1 through 4. Uriel works with Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael to protect the 4 corners of our planetary system, or this realm. Archangels are superior in rank to other angels. King Solomon mentioned Uriel by name in his Testament of Solomon. So in Solomon's works, he actually warned the Jews, the Cabal, about the archangels, in particular Uriel. Writings such as the Bible that was created by Emperor Constantine was actually scrubbed of any mentions of the archangels, especially Uriel. There are Jew books that were written by the scribes that had warned of the archangels. This is how they knew and we didn't know. The Tobit in chapter 12, section 15 to 22, the Jewish and the Kabbalistic spoke of Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Jophiel, and Rochel, also Lucifer, in their books. So the Cabal, or the Jews, they know about the archangels, and this is what was kept from the bloodline of Christ, or the bloodline of the archangels. We were not supposed to know, only they could know. And this is why they had secret societies. This was the biggest secret, is that Satan's seed was to take the positions of fake royals or fake elites. They're the ones that had all the money. They're the ones that had the mansions. And we were treated as the goyim, the dirt, the ones beneath their feet, because Satan was at war with Uriel. The original apocryphal books, believed to be written between 200 BC and 400 AD, disregarded because of the writings about the archangels that were not in alignment with Emperor Constantine's Bible, his canonical Bible, that he wanted everybody to assign themselves to only that reading, because in that Bible, they literally stripped all of the Christ seed bloodline of our power, our connections, our true heritage was erased. And it was said that it was not in alignment with the religion that they were putting forth. So in Constantine's version of the Bible, any mentions that would have given us power about how to use our abilities, how to ascend, how to become empowered, anything like that was scrubbed from all manuscripts that had any type of sayings or beliefs about our true history. It was said that the writings had a void of divine guidance. And what they were talking about is their divine guidance as the Satan seed. If you look at Obama and you look at King Charles, their paintings, and you put them close to next, you get another double, and you flip one and you put it together, you'll see Satan there. And that's because they're telling you this is Satan's seed, okay? Uriel is derived from Hebrew, meaning the gods of light, or God is my light, or the fire of God. He is known as the Prince of the Sun and the Angel of the Presence. He is the Ark of Salvation, the patron of prophecy, and more. Bible disregards the archangels, and there are 15 literary texts called the Apocrypha, which provides Apocrypha writings, which you can find in the Geneva Bible in 1560. George Washington in the boat is on the front cover. There's a new front cover of this book. I highly recommend getting one of these books because they're going to go way up in value. Uriel is sent by God, and it is said that he might be God himself. He is known for wisdom, knowledge, and he shines God's light wherever he goes. He sounds the horn of justice. That is Uriel. That's who's before us now. Prepare yourselves, because he might be the big honcho dude, okay? The King of Kings. That might be what Q and others are hinting at. The sound of the horns was just played in September, and I believe that this was the changing of the guards. This was the sound that would echo throughout the planetary system, within the universe, even, that the archangels are now destroying all darkness. In Isaiah 63, chapter 9, describes the idea that describes Uriel as the presence of God, the King of Kings. A apocryphal text, Uriel, protector of the tree of life, the blood of Christ, the lineage of God, the seed of the archangels. Uriel protects the South, which is the United States, Mexico, and Canada. That's why we're all being grouped together. Gabriel protects the North. Michael protects the East, which I believe is Russia. And then Raphael has the West. If you notice, all of the fake kings or prime ministers, they've all been done away with. And now Raphael or Michael, Gabriel, they're taking their positions of power for the removal process. Then they too will step down and go back to the seers or the watchers to make sure that we have a fairyland, heaven on earth. They are creating a divine realm, complete with a 1212 DNA wake up for the Christos, or us, the humans, the hue. We are developing now not only our superpowers, but what some will call magical abilities, because we will know how to move the energy from the ethers and create our own reality. Trump's two faces again. One is the what was supposed to be the Antichrist, and it was boomeranged back, and the archangels took over, and they transposed the movie from the apocalyptic version that we were supposed to experience through the Satan bloodline. Instead, it was the removal process of the Satan bloodline. So that's the boomerang. When the removal is complete, Uriel will move back to being a king of kings, the protector of the four corners that was depicted in the debt clock that so many of you are familiar with. This is the QFS system. The QFS system, is not just a financial system. It is a hub or a base for all systems to be connected so that it can be watched, monitored. And it also has multiple AI systems that will be helping us to protect us, to help us learn, to help us achieve our goals, to help us learn technology, to help learn more about ourselves, and so much more. There is generational wealth that is tied to our DNA. This DNA is your bank account for the QFS system. The slavery system on Earth was 65 million years long. There were two other attempts for the Earthlings to rise up and to ascend, but they couldn't do it. They had generational family belief systems that kept them imprisoned into the reality that Satan was creating, the fake matrix. The world is trillions of years old. It's nothing what we've been told by deep state scientists. If you were a real scientist and you knew the truth, like Tesla, they'd run you out of business. They would let you go. They would sponsor you. They'd let you build whatever you're going to build, and then they would step in and steal your works. They did this with Tesla. They did this with Dr. Royal Rife. They've done this with George Van Tassel. They've done this with so many people throughout history. They let you develop your little empire, and then they go in to kill you, remove you, or something. So, and then steal your works. The fact is that the Satan bloodline has been responsible for spirit trafficking across the universe. There's approximately 174 planetary systems that were enslaved by Satan and other fallen angels, and their objective was to soul scalp, which you'll find more about. And if you remember in the Harry Potter movie, where the ghost-like figures would move in and suck out people's soul, it is said that that's what Pendar, which is the head of the beast from Satan, who was a Rothschild, would go in and he would soul scrape people. He would steal their soul from within. It's a white, blue light that, and that's why they're always talking about teal. Any fallen angels that are still going against God's will lose their mortality, their immortality. They will become more mortal. They will die. God did not create Adam and Eve. Satan did. And during the first world, God destroyed Satan's creation of Adam, who was played by Satan, and Eve, which was his sister Lilith. Then Satan's immortality, he created a man version of himself, which is the shapeshifter snakes. From the snakes, then they went to reptilians. Throughout my years of learning, what was said, and I believe it was David Icke, that the shorter the tail got, the less power that they had, the less ranking. So if you were a shape-shifting snake, think of Jafar, you had the most power because you were the most like Satan. Satan was the snake. This was the second earth where Satan then created the shape-shifting snakes. It's written in the Book of Dead. If you guys want to go research this, Satan raised Lilith from the dead, and this is what is discussed or put together in the hieroglyphs of Osiris dying and then come back from the ashes, and he's blue. Okay, he's coming from death. And that's what they did with Eve as well. If you know, there's stories about a king. I don't remember who. You guys will have to do your research. But he married a queen, and she said, I can only marry you if once a day I can have total privacy by myself to soak in my tub. And he said, yes, of course, no problem. Well, one time he snuck in on her when she was in her tub, and she had changed from it's either a snake or a mermaid from the waist down, and became this hideous creature. And this is what Starbucks has set their emblem on, was this queen who was probably Lilith, and she was the queen of the lake, which is why they always had ceremonies to kill people in bathtubs or in water, is because you were sending their soul to Lilith. The tree of knowledge is also about alchemy, and alchemy is where you learn how to utilize the energy coming from the ethers. When you become a master and you're ascending, which was written about in the Book of Thomas and also in Mary Magdalene's prophecies, she talked about when you ascend and your DNA flowers and it becomes a 12-12 strand, that you now will have the power to utilize the energies coming from the ethers. And the ethers is in a dimensional space, and I'll have that in my next video. when you can use this energy to create your reality, it's like a fire. It's an energetic fire that just uses the black space or the nothingness to bring to you what you need. And it can even come in a form of synchronicities. This is also known as magic. Now, the seed of Satan, they're using black magic. And Solomon, in his books, he wrote about the black magic techniques from Thoth. Then you have King James, who wrote his book from Solomon's book. He wrote his book on black magic, which went into Kabbalah and other artworks in other written literary works that was passed down into the Freeman Society. So if you're going to protect yourself, you better start learning how to use white magic or energy to create verbal incantations around you for protection. You're allowed. I'm going to tell you, I've been following Michael Jackson, one of his ex accounts. He's smiling, and he shed some light to what happened in, I believe it was the second world or the third world, is that Shem was the son of Noah, and they're black. So you're seeing a lot of the Haitians, the blacks, are the fallen angels that came from Queen Sheba and Solomon. You're seeing a lot of blacks that are werewolf shapeshifters. You're seeing the blacks with wings that are part of the fallen angels, and the blacks that are also part of the vampire race. There are videos now of these black kids that are able to somehow mentally, they think about blood or killing or eating, and their fangs actually drop from underneath their cheekbones and they drop into their teeth. So they have a second set of teeth that will drop down, and then you can see their fangs, and their jaw squares out and they become animalistic. They start snarling and stuff. There are two videos that are out circulating right now that I know of, that these two black boys were demonstrating how this works. Okay. So just because you meet somebody that's black doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a vampire if you don't see their fangs right away. It is something that only happens when they're thinking about feasting and blood. All right. So Shem, the son of Noah, one of his sons, went to Iraq or Mesopotamia and created Nimrod, which is the bloodline of Obama. Okay, he went back to go see himself. So he was either cloned or they brought him back. I don't know. Or they put his soul into a body, something like that. And it's the Hussein bloodline that we've been learning about. It's the family bloodline that has been controlling the weave, which controls everybody. And they're under like a disguise of the UN. It's also part of the Council of Foreign Relations. And they also do not only the World Economic System, but also something to do with the environment around the planet as well. So they're controlling all aspects of the planet and where all the infrastructure would connect within their control center, the UN Council of Foreign Relations. Okay. So Shem is part of the Satan bloodline. He's known as Shem Satan, actually, I believe is his middle name, created other Babels as well. And he went to Iraq and created the first Babylon. Now, Babylon was a very high tower that God destroyed. And it is said that they were trying to build a building to heaven or to the 11th dimension. Now, that's ridiculous. That's not even logical. But it's also said that they were building starships that they then could fly and get out of the third dimension and fly into the 11th dimension through going through stargates. That's why they wanted the Iraqi Stargate, is because they were going to use that to fly through. Shem is also the Shem bloodline. This is very interesting, is marked by obelisks. The obelisks were put in place to show that the family bloodline of Shem was there, that they were controlling the consciousness of the Christos or the little angels. And the headquarters is, of course, the Vatican. And that's why they have a very large obelisk, and they have the womb, which is like a key, and they're showing how their bloodline actually is in control of this timeline, and that they control the consciousness of the Christos, us. I'm just going to call us the little angels. The hues are the little angels.
When you said the key, you mean the keyhole, or is it actually the key itself?
There is in the gardens, if you're looking down of the Vatican, you will see the obelisk, and they created gardens around it that looks like a keyhole. And when the sun hits it right, you could see where the obelisk enters, the shade of the obelisk enters into the keyhole or the womb. And this is what they're talking about, that they are birthing the bloodline of Satan. In Italy, they have an auditorium that is for the house or the temple of Satan. We need to look at the artifacts and the historical buildings that are in Italy, because we will get a lot of clues to the history and what really happened on these timelines. They are the ones that created the first slaves. They're the ones, the blacks are the ones that enslaved the whites. Okay, it's not the other way around. Again, they flipped it. They also created the Knights Templar to be able to go out and do the works of Satan. This is when they used Solomon's armies. This is where they created the Chair of Swords, where they were able to fight these different territories and take down the bloodline of Christ. So Shem, Satan, thought they could raise buildings and travel back home. This could also be why you see so many Babel buildings that actually have a lot of glass on them, because they can create time machines. They were trying to get back home because they wanted to go and they wanted to attack higher dimensions or other planetary systems within the seven realms. God wanted to break up their tribes because they were forming in power. And so what he did was he started breaking up the language and confusing their language so that they couldn't come together and create vast armies. And he wanted to be able to slow down their growth and be able to give the hues an opportunity to learn more about themselves and grow. So the next step is going to be for the dead celebrities to step up in positions of power. And one of the things that's very interesting is Amy Winehouse. She's a very good singer, well known. She allegedly died, but then she became Lady Gaga. So you see Natalie Wood, and then she dies, and then she goes into politics representing the Ukraine. Then you see people like O.J. Simpson's wife, who dies, and then she becomes a newscaster. A lot of things like that happen because the deep state could then control them. They wouldn't get out of line. Just like with the Epstein blackmailed a lot of people because they did a lot of things that they shouldn't have. He had all the recordings, but Epstein was short because he didn't have all of the celebrities. He didn't have the black genre or all the people that were rappers. So that's why P. Diddy was created within the CIA to go out, and he was given carte blanche to create himself as, let's just say, the Madonna of bringing in and enslaving all of the black music industry, even the actors. You even have Obama and Michael. He's got videos on them that's supposed to be quite horrifying. You have Hugh Hefner. Before that, Hugh Hefner also was one of these, I want to call Madonna, or somebody that would enslave all of Hollywood that lived around him. If you know anything about Beverly Hills, all the houses there that are mansions all had tunnels that went into the Getty and also into the Playboy Mansion. P. Diddy, his home had tunnel systems that went to the Getty as well, and the Getty Museum underneath was a horrible, treacherous place where they were doing unmentionable things for two kids and women. And I believe it is going to be now Taylor Swift that brings in the Satanist community out of San Francisco. And she, or he, Taylor Swift's a man. Oh my God. Oh. It's going to be bringing that whole area to light, that goes to the Bohemian Grove and is going to go to Sacramento and everything that was happening there. So they entrapped all of these movie stars, politicians, anybody with any wealth were all entrapped in this honeypot that was created by the CIA. And it is the Vatican that was controlling the CIA, which was part of the new Knights Templar. That was their order of operation. Any questions?
When you refer to the blacks, I just wanted to ask, you're not talking about the whole race that of people that are black. You're just talking about the specific races of the vampires and werewolves and stuff, correct?
Yeah, of course, because there are a lot of Palladians that are black that don't have those abilities, just like Chinese. They don't have those abilities. They came from Mu, they came from Atlantis, they came from Lemuria, and it was Satan, the fallen angels, then that took their DNA and started creating these evil bloodlines. Satan was mixing with their bloodline. And this goes back to Enki and Enlil, where they were master Genesis. That's what Thoth was. Thoth was Enlil, or not Enlil, it was El for elite. It was, so Lilith is the sister, and you can watch this in the movies too, in Thor, where you have El, who was the head of them, and then you have Enkidu, who then was not as bad, but he still is bad. And then you have Lilith, who was horrible. And it's said that Hillary Clinton, who was a boy, was transferred their personality from Lilith, actually was controlling Hillary. So this is out there stuff, and it's all going to have to unfold. But right now, for your sanity, I just need to put this out there. I need you to think I'm crazy. That's okay. This is all fictitious and doesn't exist. But at least I brought it out. And when the truth starts coming out, you'll be able to handle it because you've already heard it. Okay. Pretty soon you'll be thinking, oh, yeah, I knew this all along, and you'll forget where you heard it. That's how we sink it into people's consciousness without causing too much of a mental collapse. So we're going to have a lot of the deep state celebrities now start to come back in. It's that 27 group that when you're 20 at the age of 27, they remove you and then they bring you back in to do other works. How that all plays out, I don't know yet. You'll have to watch and see. We'll have to see who's who and what side of the fence they're on. That's not my gig. That's what Uriel's going to show us, and the movie will play out, and you will see it all. It's all from the courts that are happening at the Nuremberg trials that the Archangels are overseeing right now. A lot of the celebs have been working behind the scenes. Some might be good, some might not be. I don't know. Then we will get the complete total removal of the military will stand down, and the world will be able to reset. I do know that the galactics, the Anunnaki are here now, which were the original people that came in, galactics that came in to help build this reality in the first place. They're all here. They're all here to help rebuild this world. So it's going to happen pretty fast, but a lot of the old structures are going to come down. We're going to go more back to nature, not so much cement and buildings and wood stick buildings. We're going to start going back to working one with nature, having better made homes. The homes that we have now, we're going to be migrating away from, and these will all be destroyed because they're horrible. They're absolutely terrible. Once the military is removed, then that's when the star seeds, the light workers, will need to get their groove on and create heaven on earth. We've already got training. We've got bits and pieces of stuff that we want to do. Flying cars are in existence. New homes are in existence. We're learning how to grow. There's going to be technology on having gardens in our home, but it's going to be more high tech, like what they have on the ships. We're going to be getting better, 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 better. Continually, every month, things are going to be getting better until we catch up to where we were supposed to be before were infiltrated. The new timeline is absolutely biblical because this is a war between Satan and the Archangels, which I believe they're brothers, that they are at war with each other, and God is here, who could possibly be Uriel and playing Trump behind the scenes as the CIC. That's why none, Prince Charles, Queen Elizabeth, all of these satanic bloodlines, they couldn't play. They could not go up against God because there is no higher, there is no better, there is no more powerful than God. He's it, right? It's Uriel. He's got the flaming sword. The new timeline that we're now creating is going to see a lot of removal of the old world, old belief systems. A lot of the truth is going to be coming out. It's going to take about 2 years for everything to play out and for us to start getting our groove on. So mentally prepare, know that you're going to be in a flex period and a migration period, and you're going to keep climbing these stairways these stairs to get to where we're supposed to ultimately go, which is the fairyland. Tartaria was the angelic reality that we were supposed to have, that they wiped out. And this is where we're going back to. We're going to learn how to build using lasers and higher technology, using AI systems to have better buildings with more character and a sound foundation. So the fairyland that we're creating is going to be magical. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be exciting. And I want you guys just to hold on. Know that we have to go through a couple of these bumps. We have to learn things that we don't really necessarily want to learn, but we really need to hear it so that this never happens again. And everybody knows from now on, generations down, that what really happened during this biblical period. So with that, I want to leave you with, I love you. Hang in there. Things are going to get better. And there are people that are absolutely helping me to see what's happening so that we can shine a flashlight as we move through these hallways of darkness. Hang in there. There's a lot of people that love you guys. Okay? We'll see you soon with another one. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining us.
As today's journey through the quantum shift concludes, remember that our voyage into 5D wonderment and magic continues. With George, our galactic guide, and the guidance of the Archangels, we're unlocking new realms of wisdom and mastery. Thank you for joining Dr. Sam Mugzzi and Digital Tom on this enlightening path. Keep your parachute ready for our next leap into the unknown as we explore the vastness of spiritual awakening. Until we meet again, keep your gaze on the stars and your heart open to the universe's endless possibilities. Farewell, and see you next time on The Quantum Shift.